She ran blindly in the direction of the train station in search of someone who could help her, but instead she went on to become one of Harper's Ferry, West Virginia's most enduring ghost stories. Now I'm talking about Screaming Jenny. Now this happened just outside of Harper's Ferry in the mid-1800s, and it was near the train station for the B&O Railroad at the time. You see, after the railroad popped up there were a bunch of sheds that were used for storage of materials that they needed when the railroad was first being constructed and everything. But it wasn't long before those sheds were all emptied out and abandoned. Well, the poorer people among the community there had taken to using those sheds to live in, as shelter to stay out of the elements, especially in the colder months. And Jenny was one of those poor people. She lived alone. She didn't have any family. And she just had to pick up whatever odd jobs she could, just to get by, just to make ends meet. And this was late fall. And she was said to be really kind-hearted, though. Now, even though Jenny didn't have much, she was the first one to help someone when they were sick, or if someone was hungry, she was known to go without, to make sure that they had something to eat. And she said that she was always in good spirits, too. She always had a positive, attitude. So one night, Jenny was sitting by her little fire and eating a bowl of broth. That's all she had was a bowl of broth, and just trying to stay warm. Well, a spark, an ember, had flown from her fire, and it landed on her woolen skirt. And it caught. Jenny didn't notice at first. She didn't notice until it was fully involved, until the woolen skirt was fully involved in a flame and it touched her skin. That's when she noticed that there was a problem. Of course, she dumped her whole bowl of broth all over it, in an attempt to get it to go out, and that wasn't enough. It was already fully ablaze, guys. So in a panic, she runs out of the shed and onto the tracks in the direction of the train station to try to get some help. It wasn't very far at all. So as she ran, the bigger the fire got, and it spread to her entire outfit. And it just was a matter of moments before she was fully engulfed in flames. And she was blinded, And it said that Jenny was screaming, just wailing in pain, just running down the tracks, fully ablaze, and just this god-awful wailing scream in pain and agony. And she didn't notice the train coming around the curve. She didn't notice the light from the train, the horn, or the sound of the screeching brakes. And none of that was enough anyway. The engineer was not able to stop in time, and sadly, Jenny passed. Well, all the commotion, all the train whistle and everything had definitely got the attention of the people at the station. So it wasn't just a matter of minutes before there were several people there. They got her put out, and they carried her on down to the station, and they ended up giving her a pauper's grave, a pauper's funeral, where she was buried in the local churchyard in an unmarked grave. And largely, the incident was forgotten about. It wasn't just a matter of days before another poor family had moved into Jenny's shed, the shed that she had been occupying. And the incident was forgotten until about a month later. And that's when there was another engineer coming around the curve, and he was confronted with a flaming humanoid figure on the tracks. Of course, he repeated the whole incident. He locked down the brakes, laid on the horn, and it was too late. Again, he wound up hitting this humanoid flaming figure on the tracks. So he comes running down the tracks to check on it, and there's nothing there. No one there, no sign of anything being there. Of course, he's rattled. He goes to the station, the nearby station, and he reports the incident to the station master. And that's when they realize it was a month to the day from when the original incident with Jenny had happened. So that's where the story of Screaming Jenny was born. And it said that many an engineer have reported similar incidents, seeing Jenny on the tracks and hearing Jenny's wails. And it said to this day that Jenny is seen and heard on the tracks on the anniversary of her passing. So if you're walking along the B&O tracks in late fall and you hear a scream, a wail, or you see a flaming figure on the tracks, you have met Screaming Jenny. That's been Jay's Haunted Appalachia for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the story of Screaming Jenny. Keep sending me those stories and suggestions, and keep Appalachia haunted, y'all.